It is the interview that everyone was talking about today. Now, on last night's program, former Vice President Dick Cheney challenged President Obama to release the CIA memos that proved that America's interrogation techniques used against terrorists actually worked. Now, today, the Obama White House left open the possibility that CIA operatives could be prosecuted for torture after they previously had said they would not pursue these charges. We're going to have reaction and analysis from Karl Rove in just a few minutes. But first, here's more of my exclusive interview with the former Vice President, Dick Cheney.
The Obama doctrine, which is now a term being used in just the last week here, how do you define the Obama doctrine? I mean, throughout history, we have seen many instances where the free world didn't seem to understand the nature of evil or the battle against evil in their time. We've watched Nazism and fascism and Imperial Japan and communism and totalitarianism, and now seems to be the world battling against terrorism. There have always been those people during those very important periods of history that thought that we could get along with the enemy if only we would reach out. Mm-hmm. Peace in our time is a philosophy. Right. Is America adopting that mentality now?
Well, I think it would be unfortunate if we fall into that trap, because...
You suspect we are, maybe, is a better question.
Yeah, admittedly, look, we're, what, 3 months into the new administration. Mm-hmm.
A lot has happened.
A lot has happened. I'll give President Obama credit that he's dealing with big issues. I've seen administrations come to town and only deal with the little ones. He's confronting a lot of major concerns here, and he's the only president we're going to have for the next 4 years. So we hope he's got some degree of success. On the other hand, if you sit down and you look at the policies and analyze where this administration's going and what they seem to be dedicated to trying to achieve, I think a lot of Americans, myself included, certainly have major questions about that, or major views that don't think those are the proper courses of action that we ought to be following. And I think we need to speak out on that. I think there needs to be a national debate. There should be a national debate. I've been criticized because I've had the temerity to speak out and done a couple of interviews since I left office. I don't find anything surprising about that. I don't, as I say, I've been careful not to get personal in terms of my criticisms or my comment, but I think these issues are simply too important to the future of the nation for us to operate as though those of us who disagree somehow shouldn't speak out and be heard. I think we need to be heard.
The debt is going to be tripled in 10 years. We're going to be paying $806 billion a year to service that debt, interest on the debt. $4 trillion is the Obama budget. We have omnibus. We've had TARP 1, TARP 2, stimulus. What do you think, your overall analysis of where they're taking the country economically from where we were and where we're going?
Well, I'm very concerned about it. I thought the Tea Parties were great. I mean, I think when you get that kind of grassroots sentiment being expressed, thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people all across the country, that will have an impact on Capitol Hill. It'll have an impact, I think, on the political process, and it's basically a healthy development. I worry very much that we're in a situation now where there doesn't appear to be any limitation whatsoever in terms of the spending commitments that this administration wants to make. Vast expansion in terms of the deficit, but it also says a lot about what they intend for the role of government in the society. I'm one of those people who believes that the greatness, part of the greatness of the United States, is our private sector. It's what we do as private citizens for ourselves and our companies, and our economy is essentially the wonder of the world because, in fact, it's produced so much for us over the years. That's not government that does that. That's the private sector. And in the course here of trying to fix the downturn in the economy that admittedly a lot of people are concerned about, we need to address, although we have had downturns before. I worry that we're seeing a situation where this administration is not only committing us to huge deficits for the future, but is also redefining that relationship between government on the one hand and the private sector on the other. And I think we have to be very, very cautious. I think we've gone beyond what reasonably we could expect by way of intrusion into private sector.
It's not limited government, bigger government. It's capitalism, socialism. Has the debate changed?
Well, I think it has if you've got programs of this size and dimension. I mean, we started out last year, of course, we had the issue on the financial institutions, and we put together the TARP, and everybody said that's big. Well, it was big. But the one thing you could say about it is that the financial institutions are the responsibility of the federal government. The Federal Reserve, the Treasury, all the regulatory agencies. If there's a problem with the financial mechanism in society, the only one who can fix it is government. They've got a legitimate role there. Now when we get into talking about bailing out individual companies and so forth, or big expansion of governmental programs without addressing the huge expansions that are already built in. I mean, before we had any of this, we've got problems down the road with Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, and now we're dumping, if all of this comes to pass, a huge additional burden on future generations. I think it's very dangerous.
Unsustainable?
I think so. I think all over the long term, economically, it's devastating for our society.
Devastating. Mm-hmm. It's that's
you start to talk about having to see the burden on society grow with respect to the size of the federal programs that are being talked about here. We already were in trouble, as I say, with Medicare and Medicaid, but now we're adding trillions of dollars of debt and of additional government spending in a few year period of time here. Mm-hmm. And there isn't any way that adds up to anything other than a very, very dangerous situation for our economy.
And coming up, more of my interview with former Vice President Dick Cheney. Does he think that we're reverting to a pre-9/11 mentality?